Hello and good day to all friends. This is Mojtaba Rasti from the Thales team, and today is November 4th, 2025. I'm here with an analysis of VidComing using the Thales Market Screener tool. Please keep in mind that these analyses are for educational and informational purposes only, and if you use them to take positions in the market, the responsibility for any profit or loss will be entirely yours. Now, the corrective move upward that we were expecting happened, and it happened very quickly. In fact, with just this one green candle, we retraced the entire path upward. Ultimately, the move continued downward to around the 104,000 level, which we had mentioned before. Here, 104,000 is an important point. It had been touched once before, right here. Suppose if it finds support here, it could bounce back up, and we could say that a double bottom has formed compared to this previous low. A double bottom has been made. So 104 is now the level where we've paused, and friends, we're getting closer to lower numbers. Little by little, we should also start thinking about lower levels like 98,000. This is visible in the analyses, but in my opinion, when we look at the end of month and December data, there is still hope for an upward move. The signs of that can be seen. We're at a very important spot here. Look, this is our bullish base. This purple line is our bullish base on the weekly time frame. Right around here, if we find support, it could again be a reversal upward. Suppose, for example, on the daily time frame, if this candle closes upward in the next 10 hours and turns into a hammer, with most of its lower part as a shadow, that could be a very positive sign. Considering that this is happening on this trend line, we can actually take this as an indication that the move is likely to turn upward. Even right now, we've reached a good bottom. 104 is a key level. It's a good level where we can expect support, but it depends on how the other data turns out and how we can interpret them. Let's move on to the market screener and see what it tells us. The trades from the start of today up to this moment for the expiration date. What will they tell us for tomorrow, November 6th? 3,845 Bitcoins traded as 2,089 contracts. The result is this kind of curve. Take a look. Right now, we are here. Moving downward is met with an increase in delta, up to 102. 102 is a spot that we're very likely to see, and we're not far from it. Yesterday, we also had an important gamma here, and now that short position we mapped out has moved toward this gamma. So, a bottom at 102 is currently within our reach. We might see this 102 level. After 102, if it doesn't hold, then the purchase of puts will be triggered, which could push the price down toward 98. On the other hand, as you can see, calls have been sold up to 108 to 109, and any upward movement is met with resistance. So, our movement is still within this downward trend. We need to reclaim a solid resistance level, either 108,500, though even that alone might not be enough. The main level here is 111,500. We have to reclaim this to be able to say that the downward trend is changing and turning toward an upward trend. Now, what's the point about this current downward move? The point is, the trading entry we're analyzing here is based on the Merlin time frame, and about 18 hours have passed since then. So, if we count the candles and go back, we can say that these trades entered on this red candle or this green candle. So, this red candle has pretty much realized that. If we look at the curve more closely, you'll see that the curve actually looks like this. In the short term, its bottom is here at 103,400, and after that, the red curve goes into loss, and we've seen this bottom too at 103,400. Look, we came down to 103,670, which is very close to this bottom. So, the short-term bottom is here. The peak profit is here at 104,900 to 105,000, and the top is around 106,300. You can look at the red curve this way too. Another point is, when I refresh this, and we move the slider forward to look at recent trades, you'll see the downward leg starts dropping from here and goes deep into loss. So, for tomorrow's expiration, the price drop isn't endless. From the bottom we mentioned, from 103,300 or 103,400 and below, the curve goes into loss. If we go further, you'll see here the upward leg comes out of loss and moves into profit, meaning the bullish side takes over. As we go forward, you'll see there's a series of call purchases here. From 108,900 and above, we have an increase in delta, call buying up to 116,000, so the outlook is very bullish here. You can see it's much more bullish here. On the downside, down to 101,000 or 102,000, there's put selling, so as the price moves down, we see an increase in delta and put selling down to 102,000. From 106,000 and above, there's call buying, so the outlook is bullish. It takes over, and at the end here, the outlook becomes bullish again, though with less volume, up to 113,140. In the short term, the process database shows a similar situation. Right now, we've reached a good bottom. The previous 4-hour candle closed as a hammer, absorbing the drop's pressure, and buyers held their ground. So, in the coming hours, we can expect an upward move, at least up to 107,000 or 106,500 to 107,000. If strong enough, it could reach 108,500 and reclaim that level, changing the equations. What favors a bullish move is the divergence. There's a bullish divergence on the 4-hour time frame between price and the RSI. On the 1-hour chart, this divergence is even clearer, showing the price is dropping while the RSI rises. This positive divergence can support a bullish move soon. That's that point. Let's move on. Let's continue with the indicator and updated zones. You can see the buyer-seller curve intersecting at the top, with daily agreement at 107,300, the same reversal we mentioned, so we could return to that level or a bit higher, enough to fill this FEG gap. The lower daily agreement is at 102,400. Both are in the loss zone, with the upper one deeper in loss. So, this leans toward the downside. The lower agreement is more likely. Both zones formed are disagreement zones. You can't get much more from this. In my opinion, it mostly just shows a kind of choppy or sideways movement. So, really, we can't put much weight on these agreement points. It's slightly in favor of the downside. Let's go ahead and update the indicator and continue. So, you can see the movement of the upper and lower bands of my indicator for tomorrow is completely downward. This wasn't the case with the morning high. In the morning, I actually checked and I think our high had moved up a bit, meaning you could interpret it as a correction. But now the movement is still downward, and where has it hit the bottom? At 102,400. So it seems like we can probably see 102, and that could be our next target for tomorrow. So this downward movement could continue. The only point we might be able to make here is, as I said, this is during trading hours. So as we're analyzing now, that downward wave, this candle and up to now, has probably already played out, and we've more or less hit the target. For this, we can also do this. Let's move the trading volume forward a bit. I think it was around here that the curve was turning upward. Let's move this forward too and see if anything changes. Yes, you see, now the situation is different. So even if we move this one back and bring this one here, you see, a bullish outlook dominates. A bullish outlook dominates, meaning that in the last hour, trades have seen 106,300. 106,300 is here, and the upper zone is the agreement zone, while the lower zone is at a loss. So we can say that after this move in the last hour, an upward correction is expected, and this is something we can actually anticipate. That downward wave here has probably played out and been realized. Let's go update the zones and continue. Alright, you can see the updated zones. Clearly, my zones have made a distinct move downward. We said that both zones are actually disagreement zones. Both are at a loss. But as you saw, when we slide forward, the upper zone takes precedence. So, in the coming hour, we can expect a move toward an upward direction. For example, let's draw it like this. A pullback to around 106,300 here, and then an attempt to break 102, and possibly even a move toward 100,000. There's something in Maya, something similar to this area here. We went down, and now a red candle is coming down. It's still possible that we drop to 102, meaning we touch the lower zone at 102,200 and 104,100, and then move upward. It's also possible that we move up from right here, but the main structure of the move for now seems to be this. It looks like we can still see lower lows from this move. I don't think breaking this high or that high is likely. Now we'll have to see. There's a higher chance the move will continue downward, and the middle zone is exactly where we are now, between 104 and 105. Let's take a look at gamma and delta to see what's going on there. Let's see what the situation is like over there with gamma and delta. We're here now. As price drops, delta rises to 102,200. That is key support. If it breaks, you'll see. $100,000 is here. This is the gamma, and the delta midpoint is 98,000. 102,000 is important for us now. We have a main gamma here. Gamma is short, the ticker is here, and the ticker is likely mostly call selling, because the average of 105 and 200 is above the current price, so most sellers are call sellers. Our micro level is at 105,300, which is here. Here, This is actually a long gamma, meaning it's probably a call buy. So for the upper levels we want to hit, our first level is 105,300, and the next stage is 106,300. Now, as for the main gamma below, as we said, 100,000 is here, which is our micro gamma short. We need to bring our 100,000 here. Now, the gamma we drew yesterday at 102,000 wasn't very strong, but the price moved toward it. Now, this gamma has come down to 100,000. And we also have a weaker gamma up above at 118, where some calls have been bought, but we'd have to move a long way up for those to have a chance of being realized. So for now, it seems like the price is stabilizing. In fact, stabilizing a bottom. Now, this bottom could be at 102, and 102 could be the end of the story, meaning we might spend some time here and let the price recover. Or things could go down to this 100,000 gamma, and it could even break through here and come down to the middle of the delta at 98,000. Of course, it could go even lower, in the worst case scenario, to 95,000 or 96,000. But for now, 98,000 is also an important level, because I think actually, if we look at the weekly chart, we can draw a trend line here. If I'm not mistaken, this trend line can be drawn like this, using these two bottoms. Pretty much with these two bottoms. If you look, it comes to 98, 99, right on these two lows. We could reach that point, so alright, let's go back to the 4-hour time frame. You can see we're heading toward 102. Okay. We reviewed these, so let's move on to the other maturities. Let me add the sixth maturity. If you look, the decline becomes steeper, meaning it's been seen below 103,000 in profit, with a focus on 100,000. So, there's almost a gamma at 100,000, as you can see. Yes, 100,400. So, remove the fifth, and the sixth, even with 600 Bitcoin, shows under 102. So, it still looks like we're heading downward, and the expiry at the end of the week. If I'm not mistaken, it's the 8th. This expiry is at the end of the week of November. Again, you can see we have a movement downward toward the 100,000 area. Here, the floor is 100,000, and here the Delta Fortress is at 100,000. And looking upward, up to 108,000, the red curve is in the profit zone. Up to 108,000, it's profitable. So, we could also have an upward movement. From 108,709, the red curve enters the loss zone. So, this is also important. We still have some room here for a bit of an upward move. Let's take a look at the detailed trades. Alright, let's look at the detailed trades for 3,845 Bitcoin for tomorrow, where actually 1,907 Bitcoin have been bought. Out of this amount, 876 Bitcoin are call buys and 1,031 Bitcoin are put buys. Clearly, the puts are dominating, and we're also very close to their target. Look, the target for the puts is 103,000 for tomorrow in the short term. 103,000. If you allow for a bit of fluctuation, the target for these puts is between 102,000 and 103,000. And as you can see, we're getting really close to it. Really close. And it's about to be realized. So, we can also expect the calls to be realized afterward, meaning the call buyers are expecting 105 and 106. This setup fits perfectly here. A completely normal pullback and a downward move, a lower high, and then a move downward. So here, it's in favor of the put buyers, but as it's realized, in the coming hours we might see call buys realized too. We're at a sale of 1,938. With 962 call sales and 976 put sales. These are pretty much equal. They're completely equal to these sellers. The put sellers have seen the 133 level as the floor. They've seen the floor at 103,300, now realized. So put sellers don't want prices below that, making it established. Now for call sales. Call sellers have seen the ceiling at 105,600, matching the buyer's ceiling. Thus, this reversal up to now is roughly established. Let's say we have 106. This is also pretty much, as you can see, it's come down to about here, so we can expect a reversal upward in the coming hours. Alright, that's it for the contract details. Let's move on to the process data and see what we've got there. We don't have much negative open interest, nothing major, so I'm not going to apply any filters. Let me check and see. Let me fix the side. Okay, the side is correct too. So, just to be sure, let me apply the filter from the beginning in the process database. Well, look, it's interesting, the process database. This pattern is bullish. It's generally a bullish pattern. Like I said, here we're going down to a floor, which at most is 100,000, and then we go up to see a ceiling at 106. 108. And after that, if it breaks out, look to the upside, up to 112, 111 or 12, we have call buying. So we can count on this bullish outlook. The size is 10 Bitcoin and up, 83 for 15 Bitcoin. 36 for 20 Bitcoin. 24 not many, some open interests are negative. We have some 50s and 25s, so I'll remove these. There's a bit of a tilt toward correction. Alright, 20 contracts, 20 Bitcoin and up. If I'm not mistaken, yes, 20 Bitcoin and up. There's no special strategy here. We don't have a particular strategy among these, in block trades and large trades. We have a 50 Bitcoin long call at 108,000. Above 108,000 is what they wanted. Two 100 Bitcoin trades entered today at 10 a.m. Both are long puts, one at 103, one at 104, which are now coming true, meaning we're moving toward them. There's a 75 Bitcoin long put at 103. There's a 100 Bitcoin long put at 102, and a 47 and 90 short call at 108. Altogether, again, this brings us to the point that our main direction is probably Look, here again. We've brought up the last trades in the slider, the most recent trades. Bullish. What does that mean? It means that for now, our main direction is still downward, but this candle is forming and it's starting to pull back upward for now. However, there's a chance we might reverse from here and head up to around 106 and then make a move downward, possibly to see 100,000. Okay, that's that. Let's take a look. Maybe the video will get a bit long, but that's fine. Now that fear has taken over, let's take a look at the end of November. Let me check from the beginning of November up to now for the end of November. Alright, at the end of November, you can see that a total of 16,891 bitcoins are in the raw database. And look at the situation. The overall shape of the curve is upward. Actually, this middle area, the fluctuation in the middle, is quite prolonged, but you can interpret it as an upward trend. Now, as we're coming down, we're reaching the beginning of a zone where a price drop is met with an increase in delta, meaning the selling of puts. Here, it even shows that it could go as low as 85. You can see the peak of this profit, this red area here, is at 94. But this bottom could be seen right at the beginning as well. It could be at 100,000, right here where the slope starts to pick up. You see, as the delta starts to slope upward, it could stop, and right here actually. This could be the bottom we're looking for. The curve's overall shape is still upward, so it's bullish. From the 1st of November, where is it? The 1st of November is right here, you see? Yeah, right here where we dropped, there was another wave of fear, and then the price pulled back up a bit. It's not a bad spot for our first calculation, and you can see that despite that downward move, the outlook for the end of November is still bullish. Sorry, actually, for November it's even more bullish. Look, for the end of November, the bullish part of the curve is actually moving upward much more strongly. Right now, we're right in the middle of this delta, meaning we're in the middle of selling puts. If it drops a bit more, look at the red curve here. On day 102 and at 800, it starts to go into loss. If it drops further, that's why we say 102 could be a good bottom for the end of November, and then it could start to rise. See, from 119 onward, the delta starts to increase along with the price. Up to 135, 134, and then the slope gets steep up to 140. Even if we move the slider forward, these are the recent trades. Despite the fear in the market from these drops, recent trades still show a bullish outlook for late November. Here, it's actually seeing a bottom, meaning this area is seen as the bottom. Put selling happened, and as you saw for December, the outlook is also bullish. Let's check the process database. It shows the same thing. It's still bullish. The same pattern is visible. The key point is, if we increase the volume, look at 100 Bitcoin and above, and set open interest to positive. 31 trades. Look, there are a few interesting points. We have a 1,000 Bitcoin trade entered on November 3rd, just yesterday. So, it's seen all this fear and panic, and still, someone took a 1,000 Bitcoin long call for 135. For when? November 28th. Again, A 300 Bitcoin long call for 135,000 for November 28th. 500 Bitcoin here. 500 Bitcoin long call at 130,000 for November 28th. And here, look at these sets. These are the things I mentioned to cheer you up. Look, this strategy has been taken. Actually, 3 block trades with a single block number have taken this strategy. See what the strategy is saying. It's saying we're close to the bottom. Now, with the price drop, its delta is increasing. They've entered put selling puts here, and the puts at 99,000 out of 100,000 could be the end point, could be the bottom. After that, the curve goes into loss. This trader expects the action to stop here and for an upward move to start. And look, from 118,000, serious call buying has started, with the delta curve soaring along with the price increase, going up to, say, even 140. So, this strategy is completely bullish. A few more have been added since this morning, though they aren't really strategies. But look here, 2,000 Bitcoin. This one's a bit risky. 2,000 Bitcoin short put at 95,000 for November 28th. This one was entered today, this morning. There's also a 225 Bitcoin short put at 85 for the 28th. What's important is, even this trader who took a 2,000 Bitcoin short put, given the high volume, is probably targeting this level, and it's basically a strategy like a cash-secured put. Maybe they want to enter the market at a really sweet price, which is why they pick such a low level. Keep in mind, in any case, they want to buy the put at a really good price, not buying the put for 95, but selling the put for 95. So, from a bullish perspective, this trader wants to buy Bitcoin at a very good bottom and enter the market for a bullish move. And of course, based on our analysis, it's clear that going down to 95 isn't impossible. But still, my point is you can see the bullish outlook for the end of November. So, as it seems, and this video is getting long, so let's not go further. What we can expect is a move like this. Look, this candle has closed. This candle has closed. We had pretty much talked up to this point that the candle came up to here, coinciding with this candle. Let's put it here. See, this also became a hammer, 1 hour left, but I think we can count on it closing this way. It will probably bounce back to around 106, and then an attack toward 100,000. In my opinion, somewhere between the years.